SAFTU General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi, thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Let's talk about your reaction to those figures.
Anybody who can say we are shocked will not be telling the truth, isn't it? Because when we received the news that the economy or the GDP declined by 3.2% in the first quarter, accompanied by 200,000 job losses in the same quarter, we should have known that the second quarter is going to be worse than what we received in the first quarter. And indeed, we now have the second quarter figures, and they paint a horrifying picture. And we've lost words in terms of describing what is happening to unemployment, in particular youth, women, and black unemployment in our country. The last time we checked the figures, we were holding position number 6 in the whole world in terms of the country with the worst unemployment figures. And suddenly, I suspect we will knock some few points to the negative. We were holding a position number 6 in the whole world when it comes to youth unemployment. If we are already the worst country when it comes to youth unemployment and inequalities, there is no worse situation that you can find yourself in. But then what do? Our government have been absolutely resolute that it is going to continue to pursue the economic policies that have dismally failed the poor and the working people in this country, the economic policies that have simply reproduced unemployment, poverty, and inequalities. And it is refusing to listen to reason. And one of the signs of somebody who have gone mad is somebody who keeps on repeating the same thing and hoping for a different result.
So when we speak about unemployment with President Cyril Ramaphosa, particularly defending what his government is trying to do, there's a lot of referral back to these so-called lost years and saying that South Africa cannot recover quickly because we're still dealing with perhaps 10 years of poor choices across the board.
Of course, that 9 years did impact on South Africa negatively. We know what that meant to the state-owned enterprises and how that ESCOM crisis have translated into the broader economic crisis. And we cannot deny that. Anybody denying that will be a defender of those 9 years that were absolutely the lowest point of our democracy in history. But then, that's not the totality of the truth. The reality is that South Africa is not and was not worse off to the America, which was the epicenter of that crisis when it erupted in 2007 and 2008. Yet the Americans, because they've chosen a different path to the one of austerity and more neoliberalism, are now out of the crisis, and their unemployment rate is way below the rate of 6%, having been hovering above 10% at the moment of that crisis. We chose a set of economic policies that simply worsened our situation. We cut expenditure across the board, including on education and healthcare. We cut it to the bone. We shrunk the economy, we choked it, and we robbed it of the oxygen that it would have needed if we had chosen a more expansionary fiscal stance. Last year, the president announced what could only be a laughable intervention. And we know that that intervention was not even a quarter of what this economy demands. We need a real intervention in this economy as yesterday, an injection at a mass level of the resources to expand our infrastructure spending, to ensure that we produce better results in the education and healthcare, to stop this preoccupation with making workers the people who must sit really in the cold face of the crisis that we are facing in the country, not only in the state-owned enterprises, but everywhere else in the economy.
I understand you speaking about the interventions in terms of economic policy in South Africa, but something else that's going to happen is about 30%, and it's a very measured estimation of jobs, according to McKinsey, are going to be lost by 2030 due to robots and automation. South Africa is a country that is currently, it doesn't have a very skilled labor force.
Absolutely.
We are not ready for the fourth industrial revolution by any means. So what suggestions would you have there that don't just depend on policy?
You can imagine what that fourth industrial revolution is going to mean to you, SABC, to the rest of the media houses, and to the retail sector, to the restaurants and hotels, everywhere else in the economy. It's going to be absolutely a devastation, because already our basic education results spells a disaster. I mean, the majority of our kids at grade 5 cannot read with an understanding, and they do not understand the mathematics in comparison. We can't compare with even Swaziland, Botswana, who spend far more lesser resources than we do. Imagine if you now add the toxics of an industrial revolution. It's going to be absolutely bad times for all of us. We are so close to this implosion. If anybody is listening, we have been warning about a ticking time bomb. We are this close. You can't have 55.3% of your youth unemployment, and then you expect that there will be normalization of the political and economic situation in the long run.
That number is now risen to 56.4%. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Zwelinzima Vavi joining us there. Reaction on those unemployment figures.